More help for small businesses on the way. The House passing the additional $484 billion stimulus package yesterday. That bill provides funding for hospitals and testing and sets aside more than $320 billion to replenish money for the Paycheck Protection Program. It now goes to the president's desk to be signed. And joining me right now is Missouri Congressman and House Financial Services Committee member Blaine Luetkemeyer. And Congressman, it is good to have you this morning. Thanks so much for joining us.
Great to be back, Mario. Always a pleasure.
How much of that money to the paycheck program is already committed?
Well, I'm going to say there's a big chunk of it because I think they've got something like 900,000 loans sitting there ready to be inputted. I think there was 1.6 to 1.7 million loans in the first tranche that were approved. So I think you're going to see within a week or 10 days probably a lot of that money, if not all of it, go out the door. So a lot of it's sitting there. The loans are already processed. They're ready to be sent to the SBA for approval. And then when they get the approval back, then they'll be dispersed. So yeah, it should be a pretty quick process. And I would think within a week or 10 days that tranche will be exhausted.
So does that concern you? I mean, I recognize that the whole point is to make sure to get this money in the hands of workers, but look at the demand and the fact that the money is going out the door pretty quickly. Are we going to need another stimulus package fairly soon?
Well, that's a possibility. I think, the parameters of the program are such that it doesn't take a whole lot to qualify. If you've been impacted and to any degree, you can qualify. So if that's the case, you basically have got almost every small business in the country that can qualify. So it's a matter then of filling out the paperwork, getting a bank to finance the thing up front, and getting SBA to approve it. So I would not disagree with somebody who says we're going to have some more funding on this, because I think there's a good chance that may happen.
So 5 members voted no yesterday, 4 Republicans and just 1 Democrat, New York Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She said that the bill was not large enough and should have included more health care money and assistance for renters. Listen to what she said.
It is a joke when Republicans say that they have urgency around this bill. The only folks that they have urgency around are folks like Ruth's Chris Steakhouse and Shake Shack. Those are the people getting assistance in this bill. You are not trying to fix this bill for mom and pops, and we have to fight to fund hospitals, fighting to fund testing. That is what we're fighting for in this bill.
Congressman, what did you think of that?
Well, Ms. Cortez, as always, I got a different point of view than most of us have. I don't disagree that the hospitals and testing is something that's is necessary, but I disagree with her premise that everybody who got money in this PPP program initially was somebody who shouldn't have got it. I can tell you from the statistics of this, 74% of the money went to, or the loans were $150,000 or less. 60% of the banks that made the loans were $10 billion or less. 40% of the banks that made the loans were $1 billion or less. This is exactly the way that this money was targeted. It was targeted at small business and have the community banks get this money out. Now, it's a government program, so there's going to be some folks that sometimes are going to take advantage of that. And as we saw, there are some larger businesses as well as some educational institutions that took advantage of this that probably shouldn't have. They don't need it. They weren't impacted to the extent that all small businesses are, and they're going to give it back. So I agree with the point that there's some folks who got it who shouldn't. But I think if you look statistically, the money went to where it needed to go and is providing the kind of support for our small business that they need. In my state alone, the first tranche and the second tranche are going to protect 1.5 million jobs. 1.5 million jobs in my state alone. I think that's worthwhile.
Yeah, but it's not necessarily going to save the businesses, because this timeline that they have to take the money and give it to employees within 8 weeks, they don't have any business. They're still shut down. So I'm just wondering how you're going to save small businesses when this is a crunch for them in terms of getting that money out, and also the fact that they have to use 75% of it on payroll and only use 25% for other bills. When they have no revenue, they're shut down. So they'll still go bankrupt.
I can tell you anecdotally that there's a lot of businesses that are making this work. Yeah, are there some that are not? Yeah, there are some that unfortunately they're not going to make it through this crisis. But anecdotally, I can tell you that there's a lot of businesses that are going to make it. I can tell you, for instance, in my little hometown, there's a restaurant there in town, and they've been, you know, like all restaurants, they've been going out the back door with carryouts. This is a lifeline to that business. I can tell you from the standpoint of other small businesses, whether it be a chiropractor or whether it be the hardware store, those folks have been impacted, and they're going to. This is a lifeline to most businesses. Yeah, there's going to be a few, unfortunately, that are not going to make it through this. But I think it's hard to design a program that's going to help every single business in the country. But in 1 week's time, they were able to put together, from the time this bill passed until the money went out, started going out the door with approvals by SBA, $350 billion were started going out the door. This is an amazing process.
Well, they certainly are moving fast. Absolutely. I agree with that. And you're flooding the economy with cash. Hopefully this will work. Look, you've been tapped for the president's new task force on reopening the economy. Tell us about your role and what your first steps will be. How worried are you that we are opening too soon?
I'm not worried that we're opening too soon. I think you look at the data, and I constantly watch this. I had a call this past week with the Hospital Association in Missouri, talking to them about how this is going to happen. I talked to our governor in our state of Missouri. We're ready, I think, in my judgment, to open up. I think my position on the task force is, having been continuing to be on the Financial Services Committee and the ranking member on the Financial Institutions Committee, which oversees all the banks and credit unions, and actually been kind of the point of the spear on this PPP program. My job, I think, is to continue to point out problems or areas that we can improve on. And I think, from my standpoint, I think there's two things that we need to take a look at very shortly. Number one is forbearance. I think it's going to be very important for the regulators to have forbearance for the banks then to be able to give forbearance to their customers. If you don't do that, how can you expect the banks to be able to give the forbearance it's going to take to keep the small businesses in business and keep those people employed and help our communities grow? So if you save the banks, you save the small businesses, you save the jobs, you save our communities. So I think it's going to be very important that the regulators have to practice forbearance. So I've been working with, I've had phone calls with the FDIC, the comptroller, and even our state finance folks in the last week, and talking to them about this very subject. Second thing is, I think we need to talk about regulation. You know, during this pandemic, we found, and even in the CARES Act, with the Troubled Debt Restructuring Rule and CECL rule, we delayed those things, suspended those things, and we knew that they were pro-cyclical. They didn't work. They exacerbated the downturn, and the result of that, we've put them all on hold. Those are two rules, for instance. There's more, but those are two that we can talk about that actually need to continue to be suspended. And I think those are things that I can push on this committee to say, look, we need to be able to continue to push these rules back so that we can continue to give forbearance and give liquidity to the small banks and not raise costs and impair the ability of folks to.
That was one of the president's tools to get the economy moving again in 2017, rolling back all that regulation. Is there anything that you can do as congressman overseeing the major banks to ensure that the big banks are lending enough money out? Dagan McDowell's been talking about the big banks catering to their best customers, et cetera, and as a result, others have been left out in the cold.
Well, I think it goes back to the forbearance by the regulators who, I can tell you that in talking with the banks over the last several weeks, they have been beat down by the regulators over the last 10 years. They are sitting there, they refuse to engage because if there's not a document there that they can point to, that there's an IDOT that they have to do or a T crossing they have to do, they're not going to do it. And I think some guidance from the regulators on this is extremely important, from the biggest banks down to the smallest banks. And I think that's the biggest key. If we can give them the assurance that they're not going to be criticized or punitive action taken, they're going to be fine.
Thank you so much, Congressman. Blaine Luetkemeyer joining us. We'll be right back. Stay with us.